there are a few different criteria that we use for valuing websites, and I'll take you through some of those now. And then that way, when you go through each website that you can have, or that you have, if you do already have an inventory, you can then, I suppose, put a little bit of a value on each of these different areas. So that way it'll help you almost put a hierarchy in what has the most value for you at the moment. So what things do we look at? And the order in which I'm giving it to you now is, I suppose, from least valuable to most valuable as far as the way that we value prices. Now, the whole buying and selling website space, it's still a very illiquid market. So there is no one set rule that we can follow. This is, and you'll get a little bit of a feel for it as you start to do it more. It's like the real estate market. You know, we can have a look at what other houses are selling out in the market in the area that are close, but there's no exact pricing model where we can sit there and go, right, this house is worth X amount. We can have a sort of a rough idea, and that's really what I'm going to give you all of these valuing criteria for. So the first thing that I like to look at, is there a mailing list? You want to know, have you got a mailing list attached to it? You know, where's it hosted? Is it with Aweber? How big is it? How often is it mailed? Just that there's some value in that. Is there a product, or what sort of content is involved with the website? That's the other thing. If you've already written an ebook, you know, there's value there. If you're selling a blog and there's 300 posts, there's value there. All about this valuing, what I like to think is, if I was to create a website from scratch and I just had the domain name that I just purchased, what would the raw cost be for me to try and replicate what it is that you've already created? That's probably a really good way to figure out what that hard value cost is. So we've got the mailing list, we talked about the product and content. Then you also want to look at the domain value. How old is your domain name? Is it keyword rich? Does it have the keyword in the actual domain name? And is that domain name brandable? There's a value in domain names, and we'll be talking about domaining in a later module, but the domain name on itself, it's like the street address of a house, and we all know how valuable street addresses can be. If we've, you know, I'm based here in Melbourne, but if you've got a house right in Melbourne CBD, and then you might compare that out to Hallam or Berwick or something like that, there's going to be a big difference based on that address, and that's really what the domain value is all about. How strong is that domain name? Then you've also got what I'd say I call the site value, which is things like what have you done to add value to the actual site? What's the page rank? How many backlinks are there? What's the Alexa ranking? How many indexed pages are there? That's some of the criteria that we go through, or the criteria that we go through for adding that value. The other thing that has value is the traffic. What type of traffic are you getting to that website? What number of visitors are you getting to that website? I suppose at the core of it, traffic is all about how many unique visitors are you getting on a per monthly basis. And a lot of these statistics, especially under a traffic, leads me, if you can't answer this yet, you need to take appropriate steps to make sure that you get those metrics in place.